Our next guest was targeted by far-right anti-migration protesters. Harjap Singh Bhangal is an immigration solicitor and activist based in the UK, and he joins us today from London. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Well, no problem.
I want to talk about the ordeal that you and your family have had to go through. But first of all, I want to ask how you and your family are doing.
Yeah, we're fine. The government seems to have a grip on things now. This weekend's been much calmer. There's been a lot of arrests from people during the week, and people have been sent to jail. And as a result of that, people have now realized that, look, we cannot threaten people, we cannot attack people, we cannot attack police officers, and without any consequences. And that seems to have sort of quelled any sort of far-right protests that were planned for this weekend.
How has this experience been for you and your family, seeing these protests unfolding, hearing some of the things that are being said, the damage, the violence, and also explain what happened to your family?
Well, what happened was on Monday, I received messages from our local councillors and my local MP, Member of Parliament, and the police to say, look, we've had an intelligence meeting regarding these protests that are planned on Wednesday, and up to about 60 immigration lawyers' names, details, places of work have been leaked onto a Telegram group of up to about 15,000 far-right supporters. And they said that your name came up in conversation quite a lot from intelligence, and we would urge you to make your own sort of protection and security. And obviously that was very anxious. On Tuesday, I kept on thinking this can't be true. And then people started sending me the screenshots of the messages which the far-right groups had sent out. So on Wednesday, I had to literally secure both offices, send staff home early, watch my back for the pretty much last week, increase security at our building, make sure the CCTV and everything was on, made sure that nothing of value was left in the office, and basically trying to reassure my staff, look, nothing's going to happen to you. I had to cancel all of my appointments because my concern primarily was for my staff, but also my clients who come in, and it's the summer holidays now, and kids are on holidays, and they come in with their kids. And I don't want them to be sitting there if a mob attacks. So in that respect, we had to cancel pretty much everything on Wednesday, and then open up again on Thursday. The whole idea was to make sure that immigration lawyers close and they don't have a voice, and that their social media shut down, and that I can't go on TV. I'm quite popular in the UK. I'm quite well known because I do a lot of media interviews, and they don't want me doing interviews like this and supporting migrants' rights. So I argue with a lot of anti-migrant personalities on TV, and obviously being a pro-migrant voice, and I'm the one that the far right sees. And hence, they target lawyers like me and myself, and, other lawyers who also appear on channels and argue in favor of migrants, and who have large followings.
So
because if we won't be able to speak, then that'd be good for them.
Sorry, but I guess my question then would be, why speak out despite the risks involved for you, your staff, and also for your clients?
Well, I'm just not going to be, it's what I do. I'm not going to be scared into not speaking out or change my profession. I've faced this before when I was a child. I grew up in the 70s and 80s in areas between Dagenham and Tilbury, which were both British national parties and nationalist strongholds. And, I've been attacked on my way to school. I've had a knife pulled out on me. I'd be called racist slurs every day up until I was the age of 18. It's something that I can handle, I'm used to. With the concern here was for everyone else. And I'm not going to back down from a minority, because where there's been a very small minority in the mobs, like someone said earlier, when I was listening in, there's been a huge majority. In fact, all this week, huge numbers have been out in thousands. Even yesterday, there was about 2,000 or 3,000 people out just in one town and in one city against these handful of rioters. So there's much more of us than there are of them, and there's much more of good people than there are bad, and there's much more that unites us than divides us.
So
we can't let these people win.
Pardon me, I just wanted to ask you, I know that you have been getting some pretty severe comments on social media, including from Canadians.
Yeah.
But also knowing that you've been subjected to that online, but also seeing the images and what's been unfolding in the UK. Do you see a way out of this situation for racialized people?
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, it's something that maybe has always been lurking there in the background. Maybe it's been suppressed and it's come out now. This government over the past 14 years, the previous one, did nothing to help. In fact, it stirred up anti-immigrant sentiment. And it had schemes such as a Rwanda scheme. A slogan for these far-right writers is "Stop the boats." Now, that slogan was invented by the last government, and it was on a lectern of our Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, who himself is of immigrant descent. And that this government has totally, previous one has enabled it. This government that's come in, I'm so glad. It's like the adults are back in control. And they've played it really well. We've seen arrests very quickly. We've seen courts open 24 hours. We've seen people sent to jail as a result of it. People now know that it's not right. And despite on social media, certain far-right agitators stirring things up, and not agitators just from the UK, but agitators including, I would say, owners of websites, billionaires, who should know better than to stir up this sort of hatred. And I'm very surprised at Canadians jumping in. I thought Canada was the most tolerant country in the world. But the amount of racism that I've received from Canadians and Americans, well, Americans I can expect it from because it's a bit more blasé and in your face. But from Canadians, I didn't really think that. I don't know whether they're bots or whether they're actually real people. And, that's been a shock and been an eye-opener this week.
Well, Harjap Singh Bhangal, thank you so much for explaining what you've been going through, for your time, and for sharing your experience with us today. He's an immigration solicitor joining us from London this morning. You're watching CBC News Network.